that's edited out. Listen, welcome. Thank you very much for joining me on this lovely Tuesday here in the UK. I hope it's lovely down there in Singapore as well, Michael. And I'm sure it's lovely down there in Nice, Ryan. This session is a session, I was just chatting, this is a session that I use as for a 90-minute training. I've done 60-minute keynotes on the basis of this. And also I've used it as the basis of longer workshops. So it's a framework I'm going to share which can be really dived into and used for big, deep, broad discussions. That's obviously not what we're going to do today. We're going to do a real trot through and share thinking. This is a briefing, but it's also a discussion. I'm going to invite people very much to take part. Is there at any point you want to just share a comment, or say something, just put it in the chat, or even just unmute yourself and jump in. I'm very comfortable with that. And I see Michael saying it's hot and humid in Singapore. So actually, I'm quite grateful for just a bright, sunny autumn day here in the UK. This session is about two things, really. Really helping you, and through you, perhaps some of your colleagues, think about who are our very best clients. And the second part of the question is, why should they choose us? And the reason I think the ideal clients, the best clients, are so important is that my experience is that many firms, most firms, in fact, probably every business to business has 80% of its profits coming from 20% of its clients. If that sounds familiar, please feel free to put a thumbs up or an X or something in the chat. So that is the nature of things. I call that the cream in the milk. The cream is that 20%. And we want to expand the proportion of our pint that is cream. Right? Yeah, Pareto, Sharon, thank you. We want to expand the proportion of our pint of clients that is cream and not just milk. We want to have more of those. It's not that people you work with or you are not busy. Everyone's busy. It's where you're spending your time. Are you spending it with the right clients, doing the right work, exercising your superpowers or the superpowers of your firm rather than simply doing work? And we're going to talk about that in this session. And then I'm going to share the 5 key questions you need to ask in order to make sure you are working with the right clients, doing the right work, and that you can explain that to those clients. That's what this session's about. I'll talk in a moment about the move from what I call net fishing to spear fishing. I think you kind of understand intrinsically what that means, but we'll talk about that a bit. Then I'm going to kind of early warning. I'm going to ask you to think in advance about your very best client, the client you want more of. If we could have more of these, we would be happy. And if you're a BD person in a firm, and think about the best client the firm has. If we could get more of these, we would be happy. And then we'll go through those 5 questions and we'll practice, share it, and we'll discuss it. So that's the format for the next 40 minutes or so. Now, just a quick question. And a couple of you I know are salespeople, so you know the answer to this. Let's say you are now, or we're all trying to sell drill bits. Our job is to sell a drill bit. Okay, and we are technically brilliant in explaining the benefits of the drill bits. We know the precision, where they're made, how amazing they are, and we can talk about drill bits from morning to night. Fortunately, none of us is going to talk about drill bits for the rest of this session, so don't worry, don't switch off if you think that's what this is about. Quick question, and just put it in the chat. What is your customer buying? Are they buying a drill? Is that what they're buying from you? Or if not, what are they buying? Just stick it in the chat. Yeah, of course. It's obvious, isn't it? The whole. They're buying the whole. And in fact, not really even buying the whole. Actually, they're buying that set of shelves they want to hang. Right? Yeah. Outcome solutions, solving the problem. That's it. It's a simple point. We all know this stuff, right? What you're really selling to someone is their ability to hang those shelves and know that those shelves are going to stay put. And the reason they're going to stay put is you're going to drill a perfect hole because you've got these amazing drill bits the drill bits are incredible because of what they're made of, whatever the features of those drill bits are. But the outcome of that amazing drill bit is that you get the right hole, the right size, and those shelves stay up. And it's obvious, right? But many people, organizations, professionals still talk about their drill bits. They talk about the attributes of their incredible drills effectively. And you know what I mean? Even though we all know this stuff, this is bleeding obvious stuff. Nevertheless, so many organizations, if you look at the websites of many professional firms, when you get beyond some superficial stuff, it's really about the people and what and the attributes of their drill bits. And we're going to move away from that in this session because we're going to move from net fishing to spear fishing. What does that mean? Let's just spell that out. What most organizations do is they cast their net into the marketplace. And they essentially say, let's say you're, for argument's sake, you're a law firm. Sorry, I was thinking about me, not the drill, the benefit of the drill. Yes, indeed. Thank you. Sharon, I'm just saying that. What many people do is they cast in it. So you're a law firm. I'm a corporate lawyer. Anything you need around corporate law, I'm your person. Okay. And I made me a corporate lawyer specifically for an energy sector, but that's still a very, very broad net that I'm casting out. And what happens with that net fishing is that you pull in a bunch of fish, some of which are really big fish, which you'd want. They're the cream. But you pull in a load of tiddlers as well. You pull in a bunch of others, maybe even big names, but they're not really profitable. They're not your most profitable, and you're not doing your best work. So what happens is you spread yourself thinly, and that means you're not really learning about the next one. I've done a lot of these sessions with professional firms, and you speak to people, and the range of clients they're working on, the range of work they're doing is quite broad. And what that means is they're actually not building from one client to the next. And they're not just focusing on those big fish, what I call here the whales. The object of this exercise is to spearfish, to dive down in the depths and say, we know exactly the fish we're looking for. We have a very sharp spear that we're going to focus on them, and we're going to get those fish. That's who we're going to aim for. And the sharper our spear, the more we're going to pierce the hide of those really desirable clients that we want, who have put up a lot of barriers because they're being bombarded because everyone wants the same clients. We're going to have that super sharp spear that's going to pierce their hide. By the way, if anyone here is a vegan or vegetarian, this analogy works. I'm sorry, it just works. We're not going to kill any fish in the next half hour, but it just works as a way of thinking about what we're trying to do here. And this is where we're headed. This is where we're headed. It's really simple stuff. But the thing I'm really trying to do in this and other trainings is share simple truths in a structured way that you can use. And this is a way of thinking. This is a mindset. But I'm going to present it today as a conversation structure, just for the purposes of really organizing your thinking and also giving you the chance to actually try this out in this session. So we're going to head towards this kind of conversation where we can talk about the expertise, the service we're involved with, the type of clients we're seeking, the problems or results they're looking for, and why we are the right choice for them, the advantages we have, the triggers, the events that mean they need us, and the value that we create. Obvious stuff, but done in a structured way. It's a very, very powerful way of organizing your thinking. And this simple structure provides the platform for thought leadership, because you know what we're trying to say consistently over and over again, and what we're trying to illustrate, case studies, and where you hunt, where you focus your spears. So let's now do some work. What I'd like you to do, I hope you saw my note. Please, if you've all got a pen and a paper, just get it out. And just do a little grid on the paper that you can see there, just a simple table, okay? And we're going to start with the first three questions. Now, to start with, what I'd like you to do is to think about your very best client, the very best client you or your firm has. Now, if you're a practitioner, and you've got, you can think of your best client. I'm going to ask you to think of the service, the service you offer them that is super profitable, where you're at your best. And you may do multiple services for that client. Think about the very first service they chose you for, because that's the tip of the spear, the thing that pierced their armor in the first place. So think of and name that client on this piece of paper. Name the company and name the service. I'm going to give you an example. I'm going to suggest that if I was a law firm, you can tell I've done this presentation in a lot of law firms. I'm going to take the issue of cross-border regulations, which we've done for Vodafone. We all know who Vodafone are, and we'll go into that in more details. So I now know Vodafone are a great client. We make a ton of money from them. They are a whale in the context of my service, and we have a specific thing that they love working with us on, cross-border regulations. We're at our best. We make money from it. They don't question our fees because we do it so well, because what's at stake for them is so big. That's the example I'm going to pick. This is my whale. So I'll write down the same for you. Now, let's start by thinking about the characteristics of that firm. What is it about this client that makes them them? Because guess what? We're looking for more like them. So think about the attributes that they have that make them the client that they are. And in my example, just to illustrate it, there are multiple attributes of Vodafone, but really simple stuff this. They're a multinational technology firm, and in particular, they're growing through acquisition. So those are the actual. Now I could equally get into the particular territories they're in, but the fundamentals of Vodafone that make them need cross-border regulation service are those three things. And I'm a particular specialist in technology firms in this area. I understand the regulations around technology particularly well. That's my area of expertise in this example. So that's why them being a technology, pretty obvious, that makes them a great choice for me. So just write down 3 characteristics of your whales. The next question is, in their language, in their terms, what are the problems they're facing or the results they're looking to achieve when they bring someone in to help them with cross-border regulations? Again, none of this is super complex in this particular example. It may be in your case, but let me just show you my example. Guess what? They're facing complexity in regulations. It's a very complex situation. The outcome they want is to simplify the management of that complexity and do so efficiently. They want to save time, money, deal with this stuff, which is just in the way for them to do all the other things they want to do. They need to get regulated in order that they can do their business more effectively. That's really what they're trying to do. They're just trying to drill that hole to put the shelves up. This is one of the holes they've got to drill in order to hang those shelves. It's really, really simple. And there are a bunch of other problems or results around this that they need to do too. They obviously need to sleep well at night. They need to know that they're compliant. They need to know that they are confident that they're going to be not challenged or face legal cases in this area. There's a bunch of other problems, results they need to achieve here. But fundamentally, this is what they're trying. Other firms can do that too. Here's what they're trying to achieve. What are the problems? Now, it's interesting. When I do this session, I remember I'm trying to write down here what they would say. Not what I think it is, it's what they would say if asked this question. And sometimes people write stuff down and it's, they're not sure, frankly. And there's a really, really simple way to get this right. It's really simple. Ask the client. All of these questions that I am putting before you are brilliant conversation points with a client. They're fantastic items to discuss over lunch or over a coffee, probably not on a Zoom call or a Teams call or whatever, because this is the kind of conversation you can have with a client. So, we did this, we're doing this work for you, or we've done this work for you. From your point of view, how would you describe the problem? I think I know what the answer is because I do this work. But from your point of view, what were the kind of business problems and business results you were trying to achieve? I'd just really like to hear it from you. And there are 2 fantastic aspects of that conversation. Firstly, it demonstrates that client you care how they see the world, what they talk about. But secondly, guess what? When they tell you the answer to that question, every other client like them would say pretty much the same thing. So you know what the words are, what the issues are. And I guarantee if you have this question or your colleagues have this question, they'll say something you hadn't thought about. There's some obvious stuff, but there's something else you hadn't thought about that they're trying to deal with, that your service is helping them deal with. And that's absolute gold dust. It's definitely worth the price of lunch. So write down problems, results in the case of your whale that they are trying to achieve or the problems they're trying to face. And then the third part of this first section is very simply why we're the right choice. What is it about us that makes us a great choice to solve these problems or achieve these results? Okay, so, and this is not going to be necessarily about the details of your service. It may be. Maybe that you've got a unique service that no one else has got. Unlikely. In most cases, what you actually do is probably similar to what others like you do. So what are the particular advantages you have that make you the right choice for a multinational technology firm that's growing through acquisition, that faces these issues, wants to achieve this outcome, that's them? What makes you the right choice to help them achieve those outcomes? And here's my answer for this particular situation. In this particular case, we lead thinking in this sector. We can demonstrate to Vodafone that in the technology space, we've got all the right connections with the right regulators. We come out, we actually help them think through the regulations. We're that good. So we really know our stuff in this area. We're in the right countries for Vodafone. Now, if I'm a big law firm, for example, my rivals are in the right countries for Vodafone as well. That may not be a unique attribute, but it's an important attribute that we have. And there's a handful of us that actually have that. So we're now narrowing the field. And we've got great stories to tell. They're exactly this. This is a real tip of the spear stuff. We can show that we've done exactly this with another multinational technology firm that's growing through acquisition, and and what they have to say about the service we provided and why we were the right choice. So we fit this need like a glove. We're exercising our superpowers when we're doing this work, and we know exactly the kind of clients that have this need. Please write down your advantages. There may be many other advantages, for example, a law firm would have in this space, or an accountancy firm, or whatever kind of firm you are. These are the three I picked. There may be others that are more important. What I would like to do before we move to the next couple of questions is just get someone to share what they've written down, if they're comfortable doing so. So you can just take your mic off. I think you can do it yourself. And in fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to unmute you all. And you can just feel free to dive in if you want to share your version of this. Otherwise, I'll just ask someone. So, who wants to jump in?
I won't leave you hanging there, Stuart. So Ryan here.
Thank you, Ryan. Go off you go. Give us your answer. Tell us who you are, Ryan, and what your answers are to this.
I'm Ryan O'Sullivan. I'm an account manager for a software company, and we specialize. Well, my personal focus is on large global organizations, so similar to the characteristics here, but so multinational, complex organizations, many service lines that they're selling, and a complex organizational structure internally. So,
second, Ryan, someone is typing away. And because I'm muted, everyone can hear you typing. So if you're typing, do you mind muting yourself? Sorry, I can't see who it is. So we can hear Ryan. Carry on, Ryan. Sorry, forgive me.
Yeah, and actually I should have started by saying I'm focusing on IT services firms. So firm like an Accenture or an IBM.
So what are your characteristics? Give us the 3 characteristics of your target client, your whales.
Yeah, as I mentioned there, so multinational stroke global, a complex organization, and then multidisciplined, service lines. So that's what I came up with.
Okay. The problems that they're facing, the results they're seeking to achieve. And again, thanks. Someone's muted. The typewriter's muted, I think. Someone says, I can't hear Ryan. So, Mark, I see you saying that. Can you still not hear Ryan? Just put that in the chat, please.
Might be a benefit for Mark, but we can discuss.
Don't hear Ryan at all. Okay, I can hear Ryan. Okay, Ryan, you carry on.
Yeah,
I'll repeat what you're saying.
We've been quite fortunate to meet some senior people, CXO level, and recounted some of the problems that these companies are facing. And it is margin issues, so profit margins, growth problems. IT spend is being cut significantly for a lot of these organizations. So they're under a lot of pressure, and it's very, very competitive in that space. So a lot of people fighting over the same dollar, and that dollar is getting smaller because of budget cutbacks.
So let me just stop you, just for those that can't hear you. So what you're saying is that there's budget cutbacks. The IT spend is getting smaller. That is a problem that they're facing. They're really having to make every dollar work much harder, effectively.
Yeah, well, maybe we can move on to someone else if no one can hear me. It seems a bit odd, but
go on, just give us the 3, and I'll repeat them. The advantages that you've got, your IntraHive has got in this space.
So expertise in this area. So this is our specific focus in how we can help clients actually grow and protect revenue.
Right. So you're going to help clients grow. Your expertise in helping clients grow and protect revenue. Carry on.
Yeah, and we have experienced case studies, lots of references where we're able to do that.
Lots of case studies to demonstrate that fact. And
we have the right relationships in those in the organization to make these things successful, which is a key success factor.
Thank you. The right relationships in the organizations. That's the right. Now, I'm just going to say this to you. Sorry for those that can't hear. I'm really looking forward to the recording of this and see whether you come out, because I can hear you loud and clear. We shall see what happens. The last one of those, I'm going to say, Ryan, that we've got the right relationships. I don't think, in terms of the story you're trying to tell, that's not an advantage. That may be an advantage from a sales point of view. I get that, but it's not what the advantage you have here. So in terms of thinking about the attributes of IntraHive, for example, for the purposes of this exercise, I'd love you to think of another thing. You don't have to share it because other people can't hear you for some reason. But it's Ryan said that the great relationships they've got are one of his advantages. That's a sales advantage as a salesperson, but it's not an advantage from the point of view of the spear you're throwing at those whales, because they don't care. What they care about is obviously the way you help them meet their needs, which is to grow revenue, do so, making sure their money is being spent ever more efficiently in doing so, getting an ROI as sure as they can. And there'll be another advantage around the technology you've got, that maybe, for example, the ease of plug and play your technology in their existing system, which makes it an easy turnkey solution.
Ease of deployment, pathway to value,
right,
is smooth. Yeah,
great. So you've got your kind of the key things you want to talk about. It's really easy. I can make you use your sales dollar much more efficiently, even in a really tight market, and do so easily. It'll be quick. We can do this quickly. It's not going to, it's not going to be 2 years of change management. This is something we can get going on quickly. So those are really quite compelling things. If I'm under pressure to grow my revenues now, which I will be. Everyone is. Thanks, Ryan. Do you mind muting yourself again? Let's go to the next two questions, and then I'm going to try and open this up and let everyone come in, and hopefully we can hear each other on this platform. The two other questions I want us to think about are the triggers. I'm still hearing someone shuffling for some reason. Did other people are hearing that too? If I need to mute, I'm going to mute the two people who are not muted and see if that does. Sorry, just a little bit of meeting management. The two other questions are the triggers for our service. So why, we all know what a trigger is, but just for the purposes of it, it's an event. There's a reason why they need us. There's something happening that means this is the time to have this conversation. Or I'm thinking particularly of large firms that you might be from or working with. This is a reason why a colleague around the world might think of you to bring into their client, because cross-selling within global firms is a really, really tricky thing. Very few do it well. And the reason often they don't do it well is they don't have these spears flying around the world. So people are really clear in their mind what their colleagues do and the moment they need to reach out for them. They know, for example, if a client comes to me and says, I need someone who's an IP specialist in Singapore, I can look up the IP specialist in Singapore on my internal system. That's easy. That's not active cross-selling. That's just basic being part of a big firm. But actually going to a client proactively say, you're operating in Singapore, that I've got a client who's telling me there's some really big IP issues. Do you know about them? Can I speak? Being proactive on a specific issue is throwing spears around a firm and hitting home. And when I do this session in a conference, often do it at a conference where you've got partners or senior people from around the world in one place who don't know each other. At the end of this, not only do I get them to pitch to each other, but over lunch, over coffee, I get them to make sure they're having this conversation with each other. And you'd be amazed that, oh yeah, we've got a client like that. They might have that need. Let's have that conversation. So it's a more precise conversation that we're encouraging people to have. So let's think about the triggers in your case. In my example here, just to get the ball rolling, when Vodafone are doing a major product launch, they face regulatory issues across multiple territories. They need to make sure it conforms. Then if they announce to their investors, we've got an international growth strategy, we've got this big new investment program, we're expanding the number of countries we're operating in, that is a moment to have the conversation, because in order to do that, they're going to need to comply with regulations, right? So we should have that conversation then. Or they've announced a big international acquisition. Suddenly they need to harmonize the way they approach the regulatory issue. This is the moment to have the conversation. And this may be the tip of the arrow, a tip of the spear for you. This might be the right tip for you. Depends on what you're doing. The trigger might be the right tip. Do you have a client that is announcing major international acquisitions? I can help them because they're going to face regulatory issues. Do you have a technology client that is doing that? Might be the best moment for you to get involved based on your experience, your existing client. We can reorder the spear as works for you, but it's about finding the right angle in. What are the triggers in the case of your client, your whale, your company? What are the reasons they suddenly go, right, now's the time to do something like this? I'm going to have this need. Growth strategy, for example. And then the final, and Ryan just hinted at that with IntraHive, can you put some cash or time or some tangible value against the work you've done? Not all of us can. Again, sometimes it's about asking the client the question. So in my example here, because I'm so efficient in dealing with cross-border regulations, I can do this more efficiently than my rivals. I will save you money, Vodafone. You'll do it cheaper. You'll do it quicker. What that means is not just it's great that it's done quickly, but the speed to market for your product is faster because you can get this stuff out of the way quickly. You may have other issues, but from our piece of the jigsaw is going to be done quickly. Then if you can get all of your suppliers to do it that quickly, your product hits the market more quickly. And we understand the broader business issues that you're facing beyond in the case of a law firm, the legal issues. For example, brand consistency. We understand your brand needs to be consistent everywhere. That means that we need to tackle the regulatory issue so that you can say the same things everywhere, or we can work out what you can say everywhere. This is part of a brand issue that you're facing. We get that. We know that. We've done this with these people. This is something we understand beyond the simple legal telling you what you can't do. So those might be some of the financial value we did. Now, Ryan just gave the example where he's, and I know that he's got some of these examples. He can put money against the work that his clients have done. And in his case, it's all about the money, because that's, you're investing in that technology in order to sell more. But there may be other benefits too, in terms of the way that the firm works together internally, and the ability for people to know, in the case of EnterHive, who else is dealing with those big clients around the world. I know that. So I'd like you all to do the same thing. Just fill in your box. I'm not going to ask anyone to come in just yet. I will do in a moment, and hopefully we can all hear you. Because what I'm going to ask you to do now is to fill in that conversation structure that I gave at the beginning. So I'll talk, but as I'm talking, just fill in your own version of this. Just take what you've done on that table, on another piece of paper, write this down. My name is Stuart. And in my case, I've got a particular expertise in dealing with cross-border regulations, particularly for multinational tech firms that are expanding internationally. And the problem they've got is it can be very slow. We're really quick. We can save them money. We can do this efficiently and tackle the complexity that they're facing when they want to, for example, launch new products. And the reason we're so well positioned to help them is because we're in all the right countries. We have the relationships with the regulators in those countries. We're thought leaders in that space. And we've done this so many times before, which we can show. And so we're really geared up for this kind of work. Do you know anyone like that? Or if I'm meeting someone at a party, is this you? If I'm talking to a colleague around the world, do you have any clients like that? Now, I come back to my point. The order you may choose for this might vary. It may be that the key angle for you is the problem, the one big problem they face that we can tackle, as opposed to the characteristics. The problem is, the cost and complexity of dealing with cross-border regulations when you're launching a new product. We're really good at that stuff. It may be, but it's one thing. So that's the tip of my spear. Now, typically, they face these situations. They're announcing big growth programs. They've got a new product. They're buying a new company. And what we do is we save them money. We mean they can take their product to market more quickly. And we're efficient. Please write that down now. What I'd like to do, this is where I'd love someone to give the rest of us that pitch. And if you're typing, if you're chatting to someone else, I'm going to unmute everybody. So, because for time, I'm going to let people just jump in. So please stop typing or talking to someone else or doing something else, because I'm going to unmute everybody. And we'll hear whatever you're doing. So who would like to just jump in? You can either put in chat, I'd like to, or just jump in. Feel free to do this pitch. Otherwise, I'll pick on someone. Okay, Mark Ferguson. Mark, I'm going to pick on you, buddy. I'm going to ask you to give your version of this, if you don't mind.
Sure. Can you hear me? Can everybody hear me?
I can. Can other people hear you? Please type. Just say yes. Just say in the chat yes or no.
Let's assume.
No.
Anyway.
They can't hear you. No one's here.
No.
I have no idea why that is.
No,
let me see if I'm. Oh, I know what it is. I think I wonder if I've done. I'm gonna change this. Okay, all participants are able to speak now.
Okay.
So
Does that help?
Now.
Does that help? Earth calling other participants.
Can anyone
hear me?
Anyone here? No. They still can't hear you. Oh, what a shame. No. Okay. I'm going to ask you to do it. I'm going to hope you're recording. I'm going to share the recording, and I will then try and do my best to repeat your story. And I won't be using this platform for the next session, that is for sure, because that's really, really poor.
Well, let's kick off and see how it goes.
Go for it, Mark.
So right, my name's Mark Ferguson. Me and my team have a particular expertise in energy and commodity trading businesses worldwide. I work with clients like Rio Tinto, National Grid, ADM, Cargill, trading organizations of all shapes and sizes. They typically have issues or experience challenges such as mergers and acquisitions, moving into new markets, new geographies, new commodities. They have new competitors arriving all the time. Their clients want things differently. Geopolitical issues challenge them. We are really well positioned to help them based on our case studies. Typically, we have a lot of competitors, and we tend to be a safe pair of hands at much lower cost. We tend to use experienced professionals, not graduates, and we're kind of well positioned to help because we support their business processes or their changing processes, changing markets, and we link those efficiently to their IT systems.
Okay, let me just pause you there because I'm trying to remember some of that. I don't know others I guess didn't hear. I'm gonna do this. Remind me the type of clients you work with, Mark. Just say a type of client.
So energy and commodity traders.
And your expertise is, because I was busy thinking about the sound issue while you were saying that.
So our expertise is with energy and commodity traders and their IT and business processes.
Right, brilliant.
Mark's,
thank you. So Mark's expertise is the IT processes for energy and commodity traders. They're the type of clients he's looking for. Are there a particular size or energy trader that you work with? What's your sweet spot? If you think of that great client that you've got, you don't have to name them. How would you describe that client specifically? Be more narrowly specific, please.
It's more about the challenge, not about the size. So they could be small and growing, or they could be big and complicated.
Okay, so it's more about the challenge than the size. What would be the best challenge that they've got that means you're the perfect fit for them?
Well, typically stuff's changing in their world. They've got a new competitor. They want to move into a new market.
Right. Let me pause you. So what Mark said is stuff is changing in their world, and they've got a new competitor. They're trying to move into a new market. That would be the characteristic for me. That would be the key. So they're commodity energy traders who are looking to change because something's happened to them, or they're looking to expand the markets they're in. Those would be the key characteristics for me of your whales, the ones that you're the best fit for, not just all traders, but the ones that particularly fit that profile. You're the right. Now, remind me, in that situation, why you're the right choice. What Mark said that he was the right choice generally was because his firm tend not to be, they tend to be very experienced people in this area. They've got a lot of track record of working in this space. And I'm sure you've got the technical capability, but I'm sure others have that too. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, typically we would show that we're a safe pair of hands at lower cost.
But it's a safe pair. Mark says it's a safe pair of hands. But when I'm looking to do something bold, like move into a new market or fight off a major competitor, is being a safe pair of hands the thing I want? Is that the right choice for me, or is there anything else?
Well, the costs of moving into a new market or solving this problem are high.
Right.
So if you do it with someone who's inexperienced, you're taking a bigger risk.
Okay, I'm going to pause you because of the technical issues. So the two big things there for Mark, it must be odd for you, probably seeing me just nod at nothing. Can't hear Mark. The two big things, Mark, is that says that if you're moving into a new market, for example, it's expensive. So if you can do this efficiently and at a lower cost, that's great. But you're also taking a big risk. And I think this is such a major thing. Most people buy out of fear, not greed. In other words, they want to avoid risk almost more than they want to gain. So having a really safe pair of hands, in Mark's firm's case, a really safe pair of hands that you can trust because they're experienced, is attribute that's important at that moment in time, where you want to know that you're going to have your technology supported as you change the kind of trading that you do. Otherwise, you make this move and it's going to fail. So this is a really key point. This becomes a really sharp spear, I would suggest. And you've mentioned the triggers, which is something's happened. They've moved into a new market. They've got a new competitor they've got to respond to. Can you talk about value you've delivered, Mark? Is there any value you can put to it when you've done this in the past?
Yeah, I mean, typically our case studies we'd always try and show some benefits, like system uptime. So, you know, rather than system uptime, cost reduction,
system uptime, cost reduction, and presumably speed at which you can suddenly adapt and change. That's going to be something, isn't it? That you're going to, you know.
Yes, it is. It's sort of keeping their systems and processes tuned to market conditions,
right?
Or changing market conditions.
So adapting to market conditions quickly, so you can show that you're flexible and agile enough to help do that. Okay, thank you, Mark. I appreciate that. I'm sorry about the technical difficulties for everyone else. It's very, very strange that they can't hear you, because I heard you perfectly well. That's a really good example of the kind of work that you can do and spend real time on to hone that spear. And that's this structure is just a simple structure that you can use in these conversations. I'm going to mute everybody again because I can hear people eating even if other people can't. Let me just, in the last couple of minutes, just say two things. The first is, this is the work I do. This is one of the number of exercises I do. I do this in keynotes. As I said, I train professionals in how to do this stuff. I consult with teams, organizations on getting this go-to-market story absolutely razor sharp. I can work with individuals on their own story, on the way they pitch themselves. And I do check out on the website the Advanced Trusted Partner Program, which uses this and a number of other techniques to really build a stronger presence with your most important clients. And I also facilitate events, workshops, conferences, and make sure that the story of those events and the story that's being built over the course of a session is sharp and clear, and we know what we're trying to achieve. I was going to ask for reflections. I'm not going to, because we can't hear you. I've only got a minute left, so you're spared that. Although, feel free to put any thoughts into the chat. I'd love to see what people think about this in the minute we've got. And as you do so, thank you. Some really nice actual insights. Thank you for that, Michael. And a few other people are typing. And I appreciate it. Thank you. Is there any other thoughts, anything you want to pick up on, let me know. Just want to mention, I'm doing another one of these on a different platform on the 6th of November at 1 p.m. And that's really looking at how to build high value client relationships, practically using the trust triangle, which is the subject of the book on trust The Economist is publishing, coming out in January. Thank you all very much for being part of this. And I hope, and you're saying in the chat that you did, that you found it useful, helpful, and I look forward to speaking to you all. Goodbye.